Hello. Welcome again to Our Texas Magazine, the podcast. To me, it's really special. Why? Because we got some folks who are going to talk about an aspect of Texas history that few people may remember, but want to know if they even are interested a little bit in history, in Texas history. So who do we have? Well, to my immediate left is Donald Carter. In the middle is Harold Davis. And on the end is Kenneth Martin. Now, Brother Carter will always address Mr. Martin as Dr. Martin, but Dr. Martin says, hey, I'm just Ken, okay? That's so right. we're gonna use Ken, all right? Now, why are they here? Because they are going to talk about an event that took place in Dallas in 1967. It was the very first time that integrated schools played football in Dallas County. It was Lincoln Tigers against the Spruce Apaches.
Under the UIL.
Under the UIL, okay? And we'll talk more about UIL and all the rest of them. Welcome, guys. Glad you're here. Hello.
Oh,
thank you.
We're glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
All right. I've been talking to Mr. Carter from time to time, and he would mention this game, and I said, wow, let me do some research. And doggone, Carter was right. Okay, now, first of all, you were, all three of you played on the team. Ken, what position did you play? And then Harold, what did you play? And then Carter, what did you play?
I played what they call pulling guard, which is the left side of the center. And I really enjoyed that position.
All right. How long had you played that position when you, in 67?
Well, it's not a long story, but I'm going to make it a short story. Evidently, it was a senior in that particular position. And I think maybe because I had just somewhat more speed, and I to make a long story short, I beat him out of the position.
Oh, cool.
And so I think they moved him to the right side of the guard, and then because that was a pulling guard position, and they needed, with the speed we had in the backfield, they needed somebody to be out there fast enough to block.
Okay.
Am I right, y'all?
You're right.
I'll refer to them as he's confirmed.
What year in high school were you?
I was in what year?
Yeah, when you were playing in 67.
What year? I was
Junior.
I was. We started out as sophomores.
Yes.
And then we played some as sophomores, Don and I, and then we started. When we say started, beginning to be regular starters on the team in our junior year.
In your junior year, and that's when in 67, right? Okay. How about you, Harold? What position you play?
Well, I started out trying to play wide receiver.
Trying?
Yeah, and the coach decided to make me quarterback, and I ended up being backup quarterback.
No kidding.
And kickers.
And kicker, right?
Yeah, my senior year. I did the kicking duties my senior year.
But in 67, you were
67, I was backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback. Okay. How about you, Donald Carter?
Well, started out in somewhat in the
Ninth grade.
ninth grade, because we went to, Ken and I went to high school in the 8th grade.
Okay.
They did not have a middle school, as they call them now,
yeah.
junior. So we went right from elementary school to high school in the 8th grade. So they had a 8th grade team. We wasn't in the UIL yet. And so we would play other black teams, all black schools.
But in 67, what year were you in?
I was in the 10th grade.
Okay, so you were a junior.
Well, 10th going to the...
in September, you were in the...
Oh, yeah. We was,
you were junior.
We were junior.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And what position you played then?
I played tight end.
Tight end, okay. Left side, right side.
Oh, that's on the right side.
Okay,
It's
on the
what's
right.
called the strong side.
So y'all were on the same side?
No,
No,
Kenneth,
he was on the opposite
He
side.
was on the opposite. Okay.
we
all right.
had an offense that if they called, it was kind of like the Cowboys. If they called flanker right, a strong right, then the tight end would go to his side.
Oh, I see. Okay. All
So
right.
we would, and then the flanker would come over to the weak side. We had plays like that.
Okay. Now, this game was the very first, and what we have is this news article that was out of the Dallas Times Herald, and the very first mention of it was September 3rd, a Sunday in 1967, and the article is headlined, Schoolboys Set to Go. Schoolboys Set to Go. And about the sixth paragraph, this article then begins to mention the upcoming game. Initially, it talked about how this was going to be a season where 41 schools out of 42 schools were going to be seeing action in 29 games. And then it talked about local clashes and intersectional games. And then it says, also on tap this weekend is the city's first integrated game as Spruce locks horns with Lincoln in a Saturday afternoon affair. Lincoln, along with 5 former all-Negro high schools in Dallas, are playing in the Texas Interscholastic League for the very first time. Now, the coach is Floyd Eaglehart, your coach.
Iglehart.
Eaglehart, okay. Do you recall what he said before the game or during the week about the upcoming game with Spruce?
I would say, I tell you the truth, he didn't make a big deal of it.
He didn't.
He didn't make a big deal of this being the first integrated game.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't, and y'all speak up, but we didn't realize that it was such a big deal to a certain extent until we started to pull up. And we saw
You mean in the buses?
in the buses, and we knew it was sort of unusual because the majority of our games were at night.
Yes.
And this game was during the daytime.
2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. How about you? I want to call you Mr. Davis, but it's not. It's Harold.
Yeah.
Harold, what do you recall the coach saying to you during the week or the day of the game when you were preparing? What did he say?
Well, I don't recall any specific thing because he was such a professional. He was an ex-NFL player and all, and he just treated it like Kenneth said, another regular game. And he always kept us on our best behavior.
Yes, sir.
That was a must. For
Did
us.
he say much, Donald? Did he say much about the other team? What did he expect?
Well, he told us that they were going to play their best, and he expected us to play our best.
Were there certain plays that he wanted you to run over and over and over again?
Well, I remember it was a certain play that Kenneth was really involved in.
Uh-huh.
It was a
24.
trap play.
24 cross block dive.
Yeah, and we were.
You guys still remember that stuff?
Yeah. And we ran that, worked on that play.
Uh-huh.
We worked on 44 counter, which was another trap play.
Okay.
And 23 traps.
Right.
But we had film of the other team.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We would prepare
We
that way.
studied.
They would exchange films.
Right.
And of course that's another story within itself because sometimes they wouldn't give you the right film at the right time.
You mean the opposing coach wouldn't give you the right film?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't remember him making a big deal. This is the first integrated game and so and so. And I don't think it was until later we start to realize, say, wait a minute, we're making history.
Yeah.
I want to get to that point just in a few seconds. So what about your folks? Did they say they were going to go to the game? Did they say anything about the game?
I think the game was so loud. I think everybody that could get in there, it was a small stadium. And
it was so loud.
it wasn't like some of the larger DISD stadiums. If I remember correctly, you only had maybe 2 or 3 sets of bleachers on each side.
Oh, they had more than that.
And they didn't have bleachers along the whole side. It was small. It was the smallest stadium they had.
Well, the articles, both the article in the Times Herald and the article in the Dallas Morning News for that year indicated 5,000, 500.
Yeah, but a lot of them was standing out. What the DISD couldn't do is they had chain link fence.
Okay.
And yeah, when we pulled up in the buses, it was people just lined up around that fence, one behind the other, because people wanted to see that.
Did you
And
have
policemen.
Huh?
And policemen.
Did you notice police there as an unusual thing or what?
Well, I would say we didn't have that many policemen at our games normally.
Okay.
But we realized that, that was unusual. But other than that, we went to our dressing area. Am I right?
Yeah, they had some dressing areas there. You go and I just remember Igor saying, I just want y'all to play your best. If we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. And that's what he stressed. But he stressed to each player, you give me your best, and that's all you can do.
Did he have another coach with him?
Yeah, we had a coaching staff. There was
Did they say anything to you?
Well, each one of them had their individual personalities. Leon King.
Yeah.
You had
Coach Matheson, who was real,
Matheson.
and Hank Sneed. Or
And
Howard
Sneed.
Okay.
They were real quiet, like
Folly Lewis.
Okay. All right. So
Coach Toll was he?
Yeah, Coach Toll.
So did they say much as you guys were preparing after you got your gear on and getting ready to go?
Each coach had a position like linebackers, linemen, defensive backs.
So what did the coach tell you since you were backup quarterback?
Well, basically, I just had to practice my snaps from the starting center.
Okay, all right.
Because I had a different center I used in practice. So I had to practice with the starting center, Big John McWilliams.
Big John, man.
That's Big John.
They still big too. Big John.
Well,
John was about 6'3".
Yeah,
Maybe
that's why
right
he was
at
big.
290.
But he didn't have no fat on him. It was muscle.
He was pretty much.
It looked like,
Personal trainer right today.
yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's bodybuilder.
What do you recall during the game? How about the very first the kickoff? Who kicked off to whom?
I think our kicker was the quarterback,
Cornell Thomas.
Okay. So Lincoln kicked off?
I believe so.
Okay, all right.
I remember. Yeah, it seemed like I remember.
Okay, both of you were, all three of you played defense and offense, or did you play just one?
I played offense only.
Only.
I played offense.
offense only.
Okay, so all of you were playing offense only. How was it in your first time getting on the field playing against Bruce? Was it different, or was it just like, hey, any other game, hey, I'm ready to knock them?
Of course, you had butterflies, and once you made that first contact, it was
He's
just
nodding.
it was just settled down, and you played the game just like you had practiced.
Yeah. Part of the news articles talked about how you guys had a lot of fumbles, had about 6 of them.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
You remember any of those? I know you didn't carry the ball, but gee.
Well, I did, and because you really think about it. In some cases, if we hadn't fumbled, that score would have been crazy. I mean, it would have been maybe 36-0.
Well, the reporter, the sports reporter for the Dallas Morning News, he talked about how the score was 14-0, but that doesn't tell the whole story for the North Zone opener for both teams. It could have been much worse had not the over-anxious Tigers had been penalized so much and fumbled away the ball 6 times.
That's right.
Yes.
So do you remember
Oh yeah,
being
I
anxious?
Remember
and stuff?
that?
I played offensive line.
Yeah.
And Don played on the offensive line.
Yes.
And yeah, you were disappointed because you know we had opened up a hole as large as this room to a certain extent. And I have to give their defense some praise to a certain extent. They would just flip the ball out, of some of our running backs to a certain extent. But I guarantee you, if they hadn't had if we hadn't had the fumbles, you had people in the back, John Daly, you had Pouncey, one of the Pouncey twins, which broke the relay record, and you had Shaw at flanker, and you had
Eddie Dyson.
No,
actually, Eddie Dyson and a guy named Willie Perry.
Willie Perry.
Those guys, we were referred
They
to
fast.
once during that year. Lincoln was like having a track team in shoulder pads. That's how fast those guys were.
The article talked about Cannell Thompson, Bertrand Thomas,
Yes.
Narvis West, Ray Fight, John McWilliam, and Aaron Davis. Any of you guys remember them being standouts then?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all of them were.
See, John McWilliams, 6'3", like you said, maybe about 290.
Wow.
Ray Fight, about 6'4", maybe about 280.
Wow.
And you had Norris, about
well,
6'1 and a half, 6'2".
235.
No,
Norris about 250.
Well, now let me,
250, 260.
uh-huh.
And then you had Aaron. Aaron
He was outside
6'3",
linebacker.
Outside.
6'3", 230.
Yeah.
yeah,
And he
played.
held that defense down on that outside.
What cracked me up is that the article says West, Fight, McWilliams, and Davis, whose total 857 pounds of football beef harassed Spruce quarterback Gary Hosey all afternoon.
Yeah, they did.
Those are big guys,
Yeah, they were
especially for high school.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's
And
yeah.
talented.
What do you say, sir?
And talented.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about now. You received some recognition, Ken. What was it? And then you mentioned something about some other guys who should have gotten some too.
Well, during the first, in the 67 now.
Yes, sir.
I was a junior.
Okay.
And I got my recognition in my senior year.
What was it?
It's all city, all district, and
Okay.
all Greater Dallas offensive guard.
Okay.
But I say this, you got people like Dunn, you got people like Ray Fight and John McWilliams and Aaron, who went, those fellows, they went both ways, offense and defense.
Uh-huh.
And those fellows, it's no way in the world that they shouldn't have qualified for honor. Whether it's all district, all city, and all that. But I will say, I'm not going to take anything away from me, but but more than anything is that they blocked in order for me to make my blocks as a pulling guard.
Yes.
And then you had those quick people in the backfield, Eddie,
Yeah.
or either you had the Pouncey brothers. All I had to do is do
All of
this.
them, yeah. All of them.
They going for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But they made the touchdown off of my block. You know.
Okay, all right.
Oh, it wasn't a real full block.
Harold,
Yes.
you were backup quarterback. Were you anxious, and you never, and you got a little disappointed because you didn't get to play?
Well, the only disappointment I had was I'd like to stay at wide receiver. I felt like I would have been starting my senior year at wide receiver. And I was very, very good at catching the ball, but I had such an arm, the coach knew it, so I ended up being a quarterback, playing quarterback.
Yeah.
And we all knew that.
Yeah.
We all knew that he was good.
So you were a little disappointed about not being able to get in and score one and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, because we wanted to play offense. We didn't want no glory on defense. We wanted to be offensive guys.
I know a couple of the articles talked about how one or two of your touchdowns were thwarted, called back because of penalties. So you had quite a few penalties in that game.
Yeah, I noticed that.
You attribute that to being nervousness or just being overzealous?
Well, the situation we were in.
What's the situation?
It was the first integrated game.
It was the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Putting it
No,
nicely.
it was the first integrated game
Okay.
in the UIL in
Yeah,
Dallas. So,
yeah.
everybody had butterflies. I'm sure the refs had a few butterflies.
Yeah.
You know.
That's putting it nicely. But
At what point, how old were you when you realized this was something bigger than just an ordinary game because it has some historical significance to it? How old were you?
It was with me. It happened almost immediately because we had neighbors. I'm sure Ken and Harold did. They had neighbors that was calling or coming by your house telling they're so glad y'all had a great game. I mean, it was a great game and I really enjoyed it and that was coming from all over. You had relatives in East Texas. They were calling. A lot of people travel to come see that game. That was a big deal.
How about you, Harold?
Well, it was a big impact, but I was probably maybe a year older when I actually realized what a significance it had in the city.
How about you, sir?
I think my barber.
You what?
My barber.
Your
He said, "Hey man," he said, "Y'all won that game." And I said, "Yeah, we won the game."
Kind of nonchalant. Yeah. What do you expect?
And he started to explain out to me. His name was Mark at Graham's Barber
Yeah,
Shop.
it's my barber too.
Yeah, and Mark say, "Boy, y'all, it would have been something if y'all had lost that game." and so he sort of made me realize that it was really a significant game in Dallas.
Yes.
And he made a point to say, "Didn't you see all those people out there and around the fence and before me?"
That's
And they had to play it. And you have to realize at the barbershop everything comes out.
comes through the barber.
And then I started to realize it. But you say later on, it's almost like now, you could say that golly, that was the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And but I noticed that a lot of people just thought, oh yeah, it was a game, but that was such a significant event
Yes.
here in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I called when Don called me about if I had any information on that. I call UIL, University Interscholastic League. And I say, do y'all have any stats on that game? And he said, well, no, but they sent me the schedule, and I let them have it. I say, hey, look, this was the first integrated game in Dallas. And I say, if that had gone wrong, or either if it hadn't panned out right, I guarantee you, integration might have been delayed. He said, yes, yes, sir, Dr. Martin. I realized what you're saying and everything like that, and I'm going to let the upper. I say, do I need to call the upper people?
Yeah.
But he said we were actually right. But you asked me when did I find out the significance of the game? It was with my barber in the barber shop.
Okay. That same about a week later or something like that. Okay. Did you notice anything about the other students that Monday or that week? How they looked at you? If they looked at you differently, or did they do anything different?
Well, it seemed to be that everyone that was a Lincoln Tiger fan was happy.
Okay.
They was happy, and all eyes was on the different schools. I think they, in one of the articles, I think they told how many schools would be playing right then.
Right.
And so, okay, Lincoln had its first game, and then they was waiting to see if what other team would play and what they would do.
Sure.
And so it was more or less a wait and see attitude, because most people want to know, okay, when are they going to lose again?
Did any of the teachers talk to you next week about it was an important game, or they just didn't, class, we're going to study algebra. That's it. It was business as usual.
Well, it was business as usual. Sometimes they would say, hey, good game, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they would do.
They would always congratulate you,
But I will say this. Right before that game, and all three of us know that they had split our team up to South Oak Cliff and some to Madison.
Oh, yeah?
And I guarantee you,
That's why
if they hadn't split that the team up, you had some of the stars of those other teams, Garland, what's his name?
Bernice
W.G. Garland of Madison.
W.G. Garland. What happened?
Garland played?
Yeah.
Lincoln?
Yeah,
He
first.
would have played. They made him leave because they found out that these was all starters too in their positions, and they somebody, they don't know who, but somebody began to complain about some of the schools having so much talent, but their students, all of them didn't live in that district.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
So they started that, and
Yeah.
we lost. That was one reason why Harold probably didn't get to stay at wide receiver, because we was hurting for quarterback.
Oh,
Ernest McFarland.
We was hurting. We lost a quarterback.
Bernice.
Man, I tell you, and I'm not. They can they can verify this guy could throw a ball 70 yards
What's his
without
name?
even. His name was Bernice McFarland.
What's that now?
Bernice
Bernice
McFarland.
Ernest McFarland.
Last name was McFarland, and Bernice could throw that ball with his left hand or his right hand. So they wanted him, and
Some of this reminds me of what people said about the early Negro League of baseball.
Right.
oh yeah,
Satchel Paige
yeah.
and some of the
Some of
others.
the things.
And how they were so skilled. See, they were so interested in doing their best that they just were able to perform, and others were saying, "Wow, look at that! Did you see that?" You know, that sort of performance.
These
you know?
guys,
Well, let me say,
Yeah.
we had some other stars. Ed Clark,
oh man,
Holloway, which was quick as a cat.
yeah,
You
Holloway,
remember
and
Toe?
this guy named Booker T. Harris, he's still living.
Booker T. Harris.
Booker T was he remind you of Booker T about what, 6'5"?
6'5". He's still
6'6", and played either strong side linebacker or weak side, but you couldn't throw over, you couldn't throw around.
rangy. And then you had a real savvy a linebacker, which we call police.
I told him about it.
What was it now?
Police.
They nicknamed him. How did he get the nickname police?
Tell him.
Because he patrolled the middle of the field and you didn't go across that. Whether you was in practice or whether you was playing an opponent. And he let me know we were good friends. And I remember one time we was going to do a play that we mentioned earlier, that 44 counter. And I was supposed to cut across, and back then the crackback block or hitting below the knees was legal. And he just sat there like he was a target. And I mean, as soon as I went down to hit him, he turned and put that forearm on me. He said, "Hey, Carter, no, that don't work with me." Then he helped me up and said, "Oh, come on, buddy, we gonna be all right."
Well,
And we was.
And name some more. Burkhalter.
We had
Burkhalter.
wide receiver named Dwight Burkhalter.
He could catch
Now,
anything.
Burkhalter made, I'm not sure, I know he made either all district or all city.
Well,
And,
I don't.
I forget.
In that 67 year, I'm not for sure.
Yeah. And
Okay, how about this? What were your nicknames?
well,
I'll start off.
Oh yeah.
That's how most people would know me or remember me.
Spider.
We had a legendary coach. He had been coaching for years, Folly Lewis Sr., because it was a Folly Lewis Jr. that went
What's his
to
name now?
Folly Lewis.
Folly
Lewis.
With a V or with a?
L.
Is it volley? As in
No,
F.
F. Folly.
F.
as a F?
Yeah.
Folly.
Folly.
Okay.
Folly Lewis. Sr.
Okay. Go ahead.
And he gave me my nickname, and it stuck. Boy, you slow as a spider.
Slow as a spider.
Yeah.
So you were called Spider?
Yes, that was my nickname.
To this
He could catch that ball.
to this day, Harold could catch, and he could throw.
Kid.
the ball.
What was
We
yours?
lost.
Well, you know,
Come on now.
what did they call me? Everybody called me Kenneth Martin.
Kmart.
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 They didn't call me Kmart in high school.
No, in high school. That's what I thought.
No, they used to call me Kenneth Martin. You gonna play Kenneth Martin? They wouldn't say Kenneth.
Yes.
They said Kenneth Martin.
Just like me. That wasn't.
I got Kmart after
And,
I finished high school.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay, how about you, Donald?
I'm like,
Don Carter.
They just would always say my whole name.
Oh, they said the whole
One.
name, Don Carter.
Nobody would ever say. Now my family called me
closest.
name.
Yeah.
And like now they know that I was called Babe Brother.
Babe Brother.
I was
Okay.
youngest in my family for a while.
Okay,
but,
all right. Now-
people did.
He has another brother that's named Don Carter.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Tell him.
Yeah, I have a younger brother, and I don't know why. Our parents didn't tell us, but my name is Donald, D-O-N-A-L-D. His name is Don. I'm 8 years older than him. Why? I don't know.
Same parents and everything.
Everything. Yeah, everything.
Nicknames have always fascinated me because when I played ball, again, I held the dummy. I was the guy who was always holding the dummy because I wasn't good at all at holding dummies. But there was this other fellow who was fairly tall, but he was so slow. But because he was tall, the coach was trying to use him with his height. But they called him, first they called him slow motion, then they just called him motion. I thought that was hilarious. Motion?
Yeah.
You gotta run faster than that. But anyway, just a few more things. Is there, because this was a moment that you later saw as important, not only to the county, the state, was there something that you took away from it? Something that it meant to you?
Well, it was at that time. It was just a big game,
Yes, sir.
you know, because it was the first. But it was just a big game, and it was several years before I mean, we had finished high school when I really started realizing how important it was, because people forget, and that's when it started being important to me. You know, we have uh, Black History Month
Yes.
and everything, and I've never heard anything about Lincoln, even the school itself, you know, saying, hey, we were the first.
Yes.
We played in the first, and I think you experienced some of that because you went over there and they couldn't find nobody who knew anything about it.
Yes. How about you?
What I experienced from the game,
Yeah, did you take away something personal, even if it wasn't when you were 17 or 18, maybe later, is something significant you thought because of how you were a participant in this game?
the most that I got from it is that when we start competing against not just ourselves, I don't remember what they called it when we just
Preview league.
yeah, in that league when we just played against black schools. I thought it was very unique that we started playing against white schools, because back then we had all black people at our school. Brian Adams, Samuel, Spruce, most of them had all white students. So I was glad that started.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was unique because I played basketball also, and the situation with the referees, you had some black referees, white referees. The black referees would give you a harder time than the white referees. That's what was amazing to me.
What's up with that, huh?
Yeah.
How about you, Ken?
I think what really sort of amazed me to a certain extent was more so, again, first of all, I thought it was a good deal to integrate, because, you know, you had integration in your pro football leagues, and it oriented, you know, our black schools toward playing against other schools and other ethnicities. And so I really, really felt like it was a good idea to do. But at the same time, you know, just like Harold stated, is that, you know, you notice some of the calls, you notice some of the particular pullback from scoring and things like that. But we realized real fast is that if we were going to beat a team, we had to beat them. We had to beat them, and I realized that, but I'm like Dunn. It was later on you got to realizing that God, Lee, you know, that was a significant event that happened. And we all three are just blessed to be a part of it. But more than anything, I'm disappointed to know that it's not, you know, it's not considered as the first and it should be held as the first football game, whether we lost or whether we won. We won the game.
Yeah.
But that's a big a point there, with Dallas is that this was in 1967 that game was played.
Yes. Yeah.
And why? And it should be significant for UIL, and it should be significant for Lincoln, and I don't think it's that significant for Spruce, but more than anything, it's a big deal for not only for football, for basketball, for swimming.
Yes.
And I was on the swim team, and both of these two were on the basketball team, and so I would say that you probably don't see too many of the games referenced.
No, I have
in basketball.
I just thought about how was it last year that Duncanville won the national championship
Yes, last season.
in football. DeSoto also won
Yes,
the
last
championship
season.
in there,
and sock.
and soccer. All three
Yes.
won, and people say that's a big moment because these are some schools, especially with with soccer being from Dallas, primarily a black school.
And they won it beforehand, they took it away.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But
Carter.
That was Carter, wasn't it? Wasn't
Yes, that was
Sock.
Carter.
Sorry, that's Carter.
But the point here is that these three have been recognized currently because they did something that no other city,
Right.
no other school district has done in a very long time, if not at all. See?
Correct.
And what I'm getting at is these folks should recognize there was a beginning.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the beginning was, and as you've heard on Sundays, and in the beginning, that was Lincoln.
Yeah. And there's another thing too that I think should be recognized. All the schools you call, SOC, what was the other?
DeSoto.
Madison.
DeSoto
And
Duncanville.
and Duncanville. At one time, they were all non-integrated.
Yep, they were.
correct.
So, so even if for nothing else but the significance of, okay, when did these schools, these three schools, when did they really start to show a dominance in all of these sports that they play? And significantly, football, basketball, I think some of them are down in, Austin, San Antonio now getting ready for
Yes.
some of the state
State basketball, I think.
I've kept you guys quite a while, and I've just been enjoying it simply because when this kind of event is often talked about, often recognized, it is only the individuals who, quote, did the score. They ran the touchdown. They had if it was basketball, they had the shot at the buzzer. That sort of thing. But the three of you, I think, represent how a team came together. It was not about how one of you did the touchdown, the other one kicked the point, that kind of thing, extra point. It was about how the three of you played this ordinary game in your mind. It's just another game. But then you began to get a sense of this is a little bit different. This is a little bit different based on race. But even if it is based on race, hey, we're going to still go out and do what the coach says. Do our best.
And I'd like to say too, in our senior year, we beat Pinkston.
You what now?
Pinkston High School.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Really, Pinkston had those 2 or 3 or 4 fellows that went pro. They, Broadnack, what's the other fellow name? Dibbles, and there was a couple more on that team. And they just knew they were going to kill us. and we fought back. And of course, if Michael Stanley was here, he'd say he won the game. but I think, did you catch a ball that was significant in that game? And I think Michael
was a
did
rain
catch a
game
ball in that game. But I think that's when we sort of really pulled together at the end, knowing that was our last game together. Even though 67 played the first game.
Yes, sir.
But our last game was more so in 68. And we realized that was our last game. And I guarantee it, that was one of our better games. When you say that,
we were playing.
we beat those fellas and
we just beat them
by 1 point.
20-19.
Wow.
And
But they were
it
supposed
was in
to
the
kill us.
rain, but they were supposed to slaughter us.
Man.
I mean, we didn't have a chance to, the experts said. And that happened.
Yeah.
And
Is there anything that I haven't talked about that you think is significant about this 1967 first integrated game between all Negro Lincoln and all white Spruce?
well, I think people, they need to recognize the fact that even though it was in 67, it was the beginning of the 68 season. Because that's where I got mixed up at. And so I believe that's important because some people would get that mixed up and say, no, it wasn't 67, it was 68.
No, it was 67.
And it was September 67, but it was the first game to kick off the 68 season.
And again, it was on a Saturday, September 9, and it was in the afternoon. And there were several news articles that indicated that Black parents were bothered by the time in the afternoon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, because many of them were not able to get off.
Yeah.
And the school district in these articles said, oh, that's not about race. We just wanted to have it earlier so there wouldn't be any incidents. But they never explained what the incident was. Okay?
Let me make a statement on that.
Yeah, hit it.
The naysayers would have loved for it to be incidents and problems because we had a pretty good reputation in Lincoln High School. But it went over just flying colors, no incidents, no altercations, no fights,
Only a victory.
just a victory.
Only a victory.
Only a victory.
I really like that. Only a victory.
Only a
Ken,
victory.
do you have anything help us wind up on?
Well, like I said, I want to say we appreciate you pulling this together because I is a friend of all three of ours, David Randall, he's a researcher,
Yes.
and he couldn't find anything on this thing. And he was telling us, all right, go down to the public library. And you were able, through Don and you and church members, to find these articles. And I got on my cell and telephone and I searched through all the computers and everything. I wasn't able to find anything. But I want to say we appreciate you pulling us together.
Well, how about this? Sometimes we can rise above Google. Now, we got to talk about age here. Who's the youngest? At what age?
Well, 71.
71. Well, what's the month?
July.
July. Okay.
yeah.
Who's after 71?
I guess I'm 71, but my birthday, I won't be 72 until April.
Until April. Well, that's before him.
Yeah,
So you'll
that's-
be older than him.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
cool.
I'm
He
youngest.
say
You
he's
say
the youngest.
youngest.
He say
Yeah,
he
youngest
say
in the middle.
youngest.
Okay. And you, sir?
And
He's
I'm,
an old man.
I'm the
Yeah,
senior of the
yeah.
group.
You're the younger.
I turned.
These are two juniors and you're the senior.
These youngsters. I turned 72 February 20th.
February 20.
20th.
20, okay. Now, Ken had brought up my name earlier, so I'm just going to tell you the year, okay? 1948, okay?
I think I know because your brother was here, and I think your brother and myself are the same age. I think we talked about
Is that right? Okay.
And after services, I went up to him and said, "Hey, my birthday is in April or whatever." And
It was in January.
yeah,
I
January.
mean, you have some energy, man.
Yeah.
It's smoke and mirrors, sir. Mr. Foster,
You just
our
have
producer, allows me to have smoke and mirrors around here. Look here, guys. I really, really enjoyed our talk. I mean, it was just a great conversation. It was almost like I thought it would be, simply because you fellows have, participated in this event of a lifetime, an event that Dallas and more people need to know. It happened here.
Yes.
It happened with folks like you. And Lincoln won the game against Spruce 14-0.
Yep.
So with that,
Wait, hold on.
yeah,
Can you name the defense? Because if everybody sees this, get a chance to view this, they're gonna want to know who was all on defense and who was all on offense.
I can remember, okay, Perry Lee Thomas was a safety.
Bobo?
Yeah, Ira Banks, but he was a linebacker.
No. He was strong safety.
Cornerback. He was cornerback.
Dyson.
Eddie Dyson.
Eddie Dyson.
Eddie Dyson was one of the starters. Then you had the infamous police.
What was police?
I can't remember.
Police name was
But he was as nice as he could be as long as he was, you wasn't playing against him on the field.
can't think of it.
Yeah. And we had Aaron was on
Defense.
on weak side linebacker. And what's his name? Harold.
Ed Clark.
Ed Clark was on the other side.
it was Aaron who?
Aaron Davis. You
Aaron
mentioned
Davis,
him.
he's in it,
Yeah,
he's in it.
Aaron,
Yeah,
and
okay.
we was all in the same age.
Okay.
And we do know he's somewhere in Fort Worth. He retired from the Air Force over there, and we tried for
The longest.
for umpteen years to get the word out that, hey, we're looking for you. All your buddies
Love to see
looking
you.
for you. We love to see you.
Yeah.
And every time we have a reunion coming up next year, and we usually put the same PSAs out for them.
Well, I see Harold's got his 50th cap on.
Yeah, mine's in the car. Yeah.
It's in the car. One last thing. How is it that the three of you have remained connected? Is it about
We
this
just
game, or
have-
is it just other things?
It was just we became friends. I met Harold. Well, like I say, when in the 8th grade, we became friends. We played basketball
Gotcha.
together, and Harold and I played on baseball teams together, and I played first base, and he was a pitcher.
Okay.
And it just you develop a camaraderie,
Yeah, and you and Ken?
and
Kenneth was the lifeguard.
Oh man, yeah, Kenneth
What-
was
what'd
a
you say?
lifeguard.
Kenneth,
Ken was a
he
lifeguard.
talked about when we were 9 and 10, but
Yeah.
Kenneth was the lifeguard
Lifeguard
at the
then.
swimming pool.
Yeah,
And-
I was
and we
like
played-
at
Excellent.
Excellent
And,
Park. But he and I have known each other since first grade.
Since little before that, we shot marbles at it. We would rotate whose house we was gonna shoot marbles at. So that's a long time.
Because I remember playing marbles.
Yeah, we shot marbles. And but that's what it was. I think we all and this is not the only one. There's a lot of us still here. A lot of us are gone,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but it's a lot of us still here.
No, it's not.
Guys that paid. Okay, think about it. Okay, think about
You got. I mean, now from the '67 thing, but like you say, you got Mac Williams, and I don't know.
we
where
lost
Fight
a
is,
lot,
but we've lost.
but we
lot.
had a huge class. You remember you and I talked about that some time ago. It was 309, 300,
306.
3 something in our graduating class.
Okay.
That's unheard of these days.
Okay.
And tell you the truth, now I'm judging from our senior year now. I don't think it's about 8 of us still left.
Yeah.
But
From
now
the football team.
football team.
Football, yeah.
And from the 67 class, you know,
Oh, man.
it's a bunch of those fellows gone.
They're
Yeah,
gone.
I got you.
Because Eddie Dyson just left
Eddie,
not so long.
yeah, he just
Eddie-
yeah,
yeah,
Eddie
that's what
passed
he said.
about,
And so
month or
so it's
Really? Oh.
yeah, and that's one reason I asked hey we to go down the line and you know because he played tight end and then
West
Kenneth-
played, who
West
gone,
played
and he
tackle.
played next to me.
Who's it?
Norvis West,
Yes.
we've been knowing each other just as long as Ken. We actually all knew each other.
and Kenneth Garrett
And Kenneth
went to H.S.
Garrett, and
Thompson.
we was all at the same elementary.
And the center was
Alvin Bryce.
Alvin Bryson.
Yeah, I remember.
Alvin was maybe about 5'7", but about 270.
Wow, big
That's
man.
a heavy team.
And
He-
then it
he
was
was a-
myself. Aaron went both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the wide out, which was split between Clifford Beeman and
Me.
no, you tight end.
Stanley.
Well, see,
Michael Stanley.
yeah, if it was depending on flank or left or flank or right, you know.
Well, I tell you what, we certainly.
But anyway, that's it. I'm not gonna say anything.
No, we honor all of you. We're glad to have this moment. I thank you so very much, Ken, Harold, Donald. It's really been a joy. I just hope that many of these memories that you've given to us are just wonderful memories to you. They've certainly been to us, okay?
Yeah. And I want to thank you for having us. I just,
We thank Don for making the connection.
and maybe someone next year doing Black History Month to mention that Lincoln played the first integrated game, UIL.
Let's double team them, okay?
Okay.
Hey, and now we have information.
yeah, that's the main thing.
Again, thanks so very much. We enjoyed our time. Hope you did too. Again, thank you from Our Texas Magazine, the podcast. We're out.
And thank him.
Oh yeah, Mr. Foster too. He's the man. He's the tech dude.